Hello and welcome back to Game Brigade. I'm your host Brian, and on this show we do reviews, previews, playthroughs, and have conversations about your favorite board games. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Today on the show, I want to take a look at the top 5 games that I played during 2020. Now, going through this list, I had to actually go back and review my BGG accounts and check out my played and check out some of my notes that I took. And it was kind of surprising. It was kind of surprising for me in terms of like what I discovered. I thought there would be other games popping up. Some games that I still have very good memories of, I didn't even play in 2020, which was kind of a shame because I'd love to include them on this list. But I went an entire year without playing those games. Like Gloomhaven, for example. Just crazy. I went an entire year without playing that game. But what I did is I went through all 5 of my games and picked some games that that obviously were near the top there to showcase here as my top 5 games for 2020. So let's start off with number 5. Number 5, I've got the Chronicles of Crime, and this is for specifically the 1400 edition. Although I do have the other 2 years, they haven't released, at least the time I last checked, they haven't released the additional 2 years of content here for us. But I got Chronicles of Crime, the first version, right in the beginning of March as a game to play during, the thing that happened. And I was very much surprised at how much I enjoyed Chronicles of Crime. I don't like normally app-based games. I don't like a game that really forces you to use an app. If it's an accessory or if it's a secondary item, fine. But obviously, this game's basically has to be played with an app to be usable. And I thought that this was one of the best systems that I've played using an app. So I was very happy to get the Kickstarter version, which shipped relatively quickly in terms of Kickstarters, to be able to still get it same year. So I've played some of the 1400 timeline ones, and I do love the fact that they really do transport you to that year, and you do kind of feel like you're kind of role-playing, I guess, a knight, a detective in the year 1400 in Paris. So I very much enjoyed this. I recommend this to anyone who's looking for kind of a crime-solving feel. They are all going to be individual, and then there is a combined one eventually that will have you going between all the years, which was one of the main reasons I bought it, because I like the time travel idea for this game. But that was Chronicles of Crime 1400. Kind of put this over here. Okay, so this one is going to be a little bit surprising because I haven't played this one as much as I want to, but Seventh Continent was a game that when I started playing it, it opened my eyes to being there's more different types of board games, I guess you could say, in terms of the style. I'm very used to like not rigid, but like board games. These are actually 2 more abstract games, I guess you would say, in terms of gaming. And I really enjoyed the different take on an adventuring game that Seventh Continent presented, which meant when the next Kickstarter came out for Seventh Citadel, I was definitely all in on that one. I definitely think this one is a very brutal game in terms of it's a little difficult, in terms of it's not forgiving, which isn't bad. But there are times where you get defeated and you're like, I really don't want to have to start over again. I did get the classic version of this game, so I didn't get the Kickstarter version, and I have been very, very satisfied with the classic version. I think there's more than enough content here for me to enjoy and get everything out of this before I can move it on to something else. So Seventh Continent was my number 4. We're going to move that one down. Number 3, and I actually haven't played this one in a while, was Terraforming Mars. We played the heck out of this in January, February, and maybe a little bit of March. And we stopped playing Terraforming Mars. This thing is busting the brim. I actually have all the expansions in this one box. And so it's hard to kind of keep it upright. But we stopped playing it because the big box expansion came out on Kickstarter, which I bought. And I was very much looking forward to. And I have this like mental block where I don't want to play this now until I get the Kickstarter in for the big box with all the upgraded components and whatnot, because I just don't want to like overplay it, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of weird. There's actually a game on this list that I took it out of the top 5, even though technically it was one of my most played games of the year. It's going to be kind of like a hidden game, because I feel like I overplayed it and now I don't have as much fun playing, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, Terraforming Mars, still one of the best game systems I've played. I love the drafting mechanic. I love how every game feels like everyone's in it. There's not a one strategy that I found that wins victories, although I get triggered every time someone grabs predators, and I'm always going like pets or something, and they eat up all my pets, and it gets me so upset. So if you play against me, don't go predators. It drives me nuts. Okay, so let's do this one. Moonrakers, another Kickstarter. This game was a hidden gem for me as well. When I got this, I didn't expect it to be as highly enjoyed by my play group, but every person that has played this game in our group, and we have different groups, sections of our group, has very much loved it. And the dynamic is always very energetic and loud, and people seem to very much enjoy playing this game. And it's all about the bartering system and negotiations in terms of the contracts. So I don't necessarily know if like the actual gameplay is as good as I would feel, but the aspect of the game which creates the social dynamic, this has done a very stellar job, at least in my play group, to make it enjoyable. I love deck building games as it is. I love the idea of being able to have a base deck that everyone's similar for, and figuring out a way to optimize it using upgrades and different abilities, and also cycling through that deck to make it worse. And then later in the game, being able to take solo runs on some of the harder missions just to see if you can. Like in the beginning, everyone's working together because no one can beat anything on their own. But I feel like some people still get scared of taking the chance to see if they built a deck good enough to attempt any of the solo runs. Because once you know you can do the run solo, I don't think you can lose. So you have to eventually take that step and say, I want to attempt these solo runs. That way I can just get all the rewards for myself and then start snowballing. So that's Moonrakers. Very much in love this game. I'm looking forward to the next game from them, from Ivy Studios. Definitely recommend their company. And if you haven't had a chance to play Moonrakers, give it a whirl. Okay, so this one was a hard one for me because I do think the expansions helped a lot. Everdell. So this is Everdell, and this was a game that I've been eyeballing for a while. I think for at least a year I've been looking to get Everdell. We got it near the end of 2020, and we got it with Pearlbrook and Spirecrest, which I don't want to bring over. I might have should have brought them over because playing the base game, I thought the base game was fine. But I would say fine, like an average good game. But I felt like adding the expansions are where Everdell begins to shine. And I like that the expansions add a different flavor onto the game. But I do think they're flavors that are needed, if that makes sense. The base game just seemed, base. It didn't have anything exciting. It was an okay, played well. I love the art of it, and the mechanics seemed to work well. But I love, like with Pearlbrook, adding the additional section for us to go for the water, adding the pearls to be an additional resource that you can use, having the cards that were more powerful but the single use. I definitely liked the aspect that brought to it, and it gave more strategy. But I'm also more of a strategy player. I enjoy having different options. So Everdell was definitely a good one for us. And I think it kind of replaced, which is going to be used to be number one, but now it's kind of off. And we're going to talk about that, I guess, right now. So let's go ahead and pull over this one. So this is your bonus. Used to be number one for me, Wingspan. And I don't want to say used to be number one in the sense that I think the game is bad. I think the game is good, but this is Wingspan with the European expansion. They're both in here. And my player group, especially when the Steam version came out and we were able to all play online together, we logged a lot of games. And we got to the point where the group was so good at scoring that a score of 100 points might not even guarantee you the win. We had multiple games where we had two players over 100, another player over 90, and the fourth place player being at 80, which 80 used to be like a very good score. So when we got to the point where everyone was like, okay, we think we figured out the game at this point, it's definitely lost its drive. So I'm definitely kind of shelving Wingspan for myself until we get the newest expansion, which is released. Just haven't had a chance to pick it up because I've got so many other games that I want to play. I've got a pretty big shelf of shame that I'm trying to get through right now. But right now, Wingspan was my number one probably enjoyed game as well as played game in 2020. But I definitely have... It's just over. It's overstayed its welcome. But I've definitely probably played this game more than any other game in my collection. So this was my top 5 plus 1 games for 2020. What about you? Did you guys have a top 5 or even a top 10? I wanted to do a top 10, but there weren't games. There were so many games that were in that like 8 to 12 section. I was having a hard time breaking it down. So I felt like let's keep it more of a top 5. It keeps it more cleaner and maybe shorter for you guys if you don't want to watch a 30-minute video. So this is Brian from Game Brigade. We still have our Oathsworn giveaway going on. Remember, that goes till 4,000 subscribers or until I'm told that we need to wrap it up for shipment purposes, which would be stellar because that means the game will be coming soon. So remember, 4,000 subscribers. To be entered for that, you need to be subscribed to this channel, hit the like button for the video, and leave a comment down below. We're going to do hashtag, let's do Everdell, hashtag Everdell. You can see how much thought I put into these beforehand. They're literally just seconds before. Hashtag Everdell as my new number 1 for 2020. Let me know what you guys think about the list, or if you have one of your own. I would love to see them. I will talk to you all very soon.